Relationships can be a real puzzle sometimes, right?
Oh, absolutely.
One minute it's all sunshine and roses, and then the next, you're wondering if you're even speaking the same language.
You really are. Relationships are complicated.
Yeah.
And it's really hard when you start to wonder, like, is this even real? Is this person, like, forcing themselves to, be here?
That is exactly what we are going to unpack today.
Yeah.
We're doing a deep dive into this article. It's called Uncovering the Truth: 8 Top Signs She's Forcing Herself to Love You.
Okay.
Now, I know the title might make you think this is only for, men in romantic relationships.
Right.
But this deep dive, it's for everyone.
Absolutely.
Whether you're, trying to understand your own relationships better, or maybe you have a friend who's going through something, understanding this whole idea of forced love was super insightful.
Oh, 100%. It's like, how do you spot those red flags?
Right.
Even if they're saying all the right things, how
Yeah.
do you, really tell?
Exactly. Yeah. So this article, right off the bat, it jumps into the reasons why someone might, force themselves to stay in a relationship. And some of them, honestly, were pretty eye-opening to me.
Oh, yeah.
I never really thought about societal pressure that much before.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. We see the perfect couple everywhere.
Yeah.
Movies, TV, social media.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, we're told if you're single, you've, failed somehow.
It's like you're supposed to meet someone, fall in love, you get married happily ever after.
Right.
And if you don't follow that script...
Good luck explaining that one at Thanksgiving.
Exactly. Oh, and what I thought was fascinating is how these, external pressures can actually start to, mess with your internal feelings. Or
Right.
It's like, can being afraid to be alone actually be mistaken for love?
It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It really can. I mean, we all crave connection, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that need, to be with someone, it can make you ignore all those signs that something's not quite right.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The article also talks about the sunk cost fallacy.
Oh, yeah.
The more you invest in something, the harder it is to walk away, even if it's making you miserable.
100%.
And
We hate loss.
Yeah.
It's hardwired into our brains, right? So we're in this relationship, maybe it's not great, but we think, well, I've already put in 5 years.
Right.
I can't just quit now.
Yeah.
But you know what? Staying when you know it's wrong,
Yeah.
that's the real loss.
It's like you're just hoping things will magically get better instead of facing reality,
Exactly.
which might be that, maybe it's time to let go.
Right, and that's when things get tough.
Yeah.
Because if you stay in this situation, where things aren't good,
Right.
there's some pretty serious consequences.
The article actually talks about how forcing love can lead to, serious emotional distress,
Right.
like anxiety, depression.
Makes sense though, right? I mean, if you're always pushing down your true feelings,
Yeah.
What you actually need, it's going to affect you mentally and emotionally.
Right.
You might start feeling withdrawn, or you get super irritable,
Yeah.
maybe even resentful towards your partner.
And if you're not truly feeling it, that genuine connection fades away too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's tough to be emotionally present, engaged with someone when you're not really invested.
Yeah, it makes sense that the spark would just disappear.
Yeah, and that lack of intimacy,
Mhm.
that leads to bigger issues.
Yeah.
Resentment builds up over time.
Oh, for sure.
It's like this vicious cycle.
Yeah.
You feel disconnected, resentment grows, and it's harder and harder to get back to a good place.
So it's clear that forcing love has some serious consequences,
Yeah.
for you, for the relationship,
For everyone involved, really.
which leads us to the big question: what do you do if you're in this situation? What are the solutions?
So before we jumped into solutions,
Right.
we were talking about all the bad stuff
Yeah.
when love feels forced.
Not exactly a light topic,
No, not really.
but I think it's, good to talk about it, because being aware of it
Is
the
the
first step to,
Yeah.
fixing it.
100%. Awareness is key. And, speaking of fixing it, this article,
Yeah.
it actually gives some pretty solid advice
Oh, good.
for anyone feeling stuck.
Okay, good. So let's get into that. The article really seems to focus on open communication.
Yeah, it is important, but I think a lot of people, they hear that and think, ugh, another article telling me to communicate better.
Right, yeah.
But what they're talking about here, it's not just surface level stuff. It's about being real,
Yeah.
expressing those true feelings, even the tough ones.
I can see how that could be terrifying. What if you hurt their feelings?
It is tough, for sure.
Yeah.
But think about it. If you're not being honest about how you feel,
Yeah,
you're basically building this relationship on secrets and resentment.
right.
And that's not going to end well.
It's like setting yourself up for disaster. So, like, how do you even start these conversations? Is there, like, a trick to make it easier?
There are a few things that can help. One I like is reflective listening.
Okay.
Basically, you repeat back what they're saying.
Okay.
Just to make sure you really get it. You could say, what I'm hearing is you're feeling hurt by, how distant I've been. Is that right?
Oh, that's good.
It shows them you're listening, but it also helps keep things calm because you're both on the same page.
Wow, that's actually really helpful. So it's not just about, like, word vomit,
Yeah.
It's about actually understanding each other.
Exactly. And sometimes, even with good communication, it helps to have a neutral person there.
Oh, yeah.
That's where therapy comes in.
Right, like a relationship referee.
Yes. They give you this safe space to explore your feelings.
Yeah.
And they have tools to help you communicate better, work through problems.
So everything we've talked about so far, it's been about romantic relationships.
Yeah.
But like we said at the beginning, this can happen in any relationship, right?
Yeah, totally. Friendships, family
Yeah.
work, open communication, getting support. It's important everywhere.
Okay, but does the same advice apply, like, across the board?
Mostly, yeah.
Mm.
But there are little things to consider depending on, the relationship.
Okay, so, like, what would be an example? How would it be different in, like, a friendship?
Okay, so say you have a friend.
Yeah.
You've known them forever, grown up together,
Right.
shared tons of memories. But then you start to realize
Yeah.
you've grown apart.
Oh.
Your values don't match, and you're always holding back around them.
Yeah, you feel loyal because of, all that history, but holding on is only stopping you from making new connections.
Exactly. And that's when you have to be honest with yourself and with them.
Which can be hard.
It can be.
But sometimes letting go can open up space for something better.
It's true.
It's probably even harder with family, though, right? There's so much expectation there.
It is super challenging. But you always have a choice. You can't choose your family,
Right.
but you can choose how you interact with them.
So boundaries are key.
Absolutely. You have to protect yourself.
Yeah.
You might need to see them less or only talk about certain things.
Right.
It's not about cutting them off.
Yeah.
It's about protecting your own peace.
And sometimes you need help with that, right?
For sure. A therapist could be amazing for family stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially if there are patterns of bad communication that have been going on forever.
Okay, so we've covered romantic relationships, friendships, family. What about work?
Ooh, work.
It feels like there's pressure to be friends with everyone.
Yeah.
Even if you don't actually like them.
Oh, it's so true.
Eh.
And with work, it's even harder because of the power dynamics.
Right.
You might feel like you have to agree with your boss.
Yeah.
Even if you don't, because you don't want to lose your job.
It's like you're constantly walking on eggshells.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that just leads to stress and resentment.
Right. So boundaries at work are important too.
Super important. You don't have to be best friends,
Yeah.
but you do need to be professional and respectful.
So how do you do that? Like, how do you set boundaries without seeming, difficult?
It's all about being assertive, clear, and consistent. So if someone's always interrupting you,
Mm-hmm.
you could say, hey, I appreciate your thoughts, but can I please finish what I was saying?
Oh, okay.
Or if you're overwhelmed,
Yeah.
you can say, I'm happy to help, but I'm swamped right now. Can we talk about this tomorrow?
Those are good. So it's about standing up for yourself, but in a nice way.
Yes. And remember, boundaries are about protecting yourself, your time, your energy, your, mental health. It's about creating a work environment where you can thrive.
It sounds like the theme here
Yeah,
is to be true to yourself and honor those boundaries.
it is. And that all comes back to self-awareness.
Right.
The more you know yourself, what you need, what sets you off, the better you'll be at navigating all these, relationship minefields.
Okay, so we talked about communication, therapy, boundaries, but the article also mentions how to prevent this from happening in the first place.
It's we keep saying healthy relationship, but what does that even mean?
Yeah, how do you actually define that for any relationship, really?
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
It's easy to throw those words around.
Oh yeah.
Healthy,
Yeah.
toxic.
Right.
But what do they really mean?
Right.
And yeah, it can be different for different relationships.
Right.
But some things are important no matter what.
Okay, so what are those core things? The building blocks.
Well, the first one is mutual respect.
Okay.
It's about valuing each other's opinions,
Yeah.
feelings, boundaries,
Yeah.
even when you don't agree.
So basically, like, treating them the way you want to be treated.
Exactly. And that goes hand in hand with trust.
No, yeah.
You know, in a healthy relationship, you feel safe
Right.
to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
You can share anything without being judged.
It's like, you know they've got your back.
Yeah, like a safe space.
Yeah.
And that lets you be your true self.
Right.
No pretend.
And that goes back to, like, the forced love thing.
Oh, totally. If you don't feel safe or respected,
Yeah.
you're going to hide your real feelings. And that's how you end up disconnected and resentful.
Exactly. So building that trust and respect from the beginning.
Yeah.
It's super important.
It really is.
Okay, so respect, trust. What else is crucial?
Open and honest communication. I know we've said it a lot,
Yeah.
but it's so important. Like, it's the foundation of a strong relationship.
For sure. But communication is more than just talking, right?
Oh, yeah, it's about listening to, really trying to see their side,
Yeah.
even if you don't agree with it.
You have to create that space where both people feel heard and understood.
Exactly. And that means sometimes having those, difficult conversations, the ones you might want to avoid.
Ugh. Yeah. Conflict is not my favorite.
I get it, it's tough. But the thing is, conflict is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's how you deal with it that matters.
So, like, how do you handle it in a healthy way?
Yeah.
Any tips?
Use I statements instead of you statements.
Oh, yeah.
Like, instead of saying, you're always late and it's disrespectful.
Right.
You could say, I feel hurt when you're late because it makes me feel like my time isn't important.
Oh, that's good. So it's about, like, owning your feelings instead of blaming them.
Exactly. It helps them be more understanding, less defensive.
It's like learning a whole new way to communicate.
It is. And like any new language, it takes practice.
For sure.
Yeah.
So we've got respect, trust, communication. Anything else?
Support.
Oh.
Feeling supported is huge.
Okay.
Like in a healthy relationship, you feel encouraged
Yeah.
to go after your dreams. They celebrate your wins.
Right.
And they're there for you when things are tough.
Like your own personal cheerleader.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it goes both ways.
Yeah.
You're their cheerleader too.
That's how it should be. But even in the best relationships, there are going to be challenges.
Oh, for sure. Life happens.
Yeah.
But the difference is, in healthy relationships, you face those challenges together.
You adapt, you communicate, you figure it out.
Exactly. And that's where self-awareness comes in again.
Right.
The more you know yourself,
Yeah.
the better you'll be at handling all those relationship ups and downs.
It's about taking responsibility for, like, your own happiness
Yeah.
and showing up as your best self.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's why self-care is so important.
Right, because you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. Taking care of yourself,
Yeah.
it makes you a better partner, friend, everything.
We've covered so much today, from forced love to, like, all the things that make a relationship healthy.
It's been a journey.
It really has. So, as we wrap up, something for everyone to think about.
Okay.
How can you take all this
Yeah.
and apply it to all your relationships, not just romantic ones?
That's a great question.
How can you build more respect, trust, communication, support?
It's all about being intentional.
Right? Putting in the effort.
Exactly. Choose those connections that bring you joy
Yeah.
and nurture them.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been fun.
We'll see you next time for another, exploration of all things relationships.